Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? We had a little break here over the summer, which was quite nice, and now we're back at it, and really excited today with our guest. So normally, as you all know, Devin, my son, does the intros, but he's probably on set or something today because he's been really busy, which is really cool. So things are starting to pick up everywhere. So here we go. Are you a small business owner that is stuck in the weeds and can't quite get into the flow? Does your business yo-yo up and down and all around without any consistency at all? Well, today our guest can help. He's the author of Strategy Sprints, helping business owners sales soar. And so I'm really stoked about this. And if you like what Devin and I are doing, please like and share our podcast because it really means a lot to us, and subscribe, of course. And this episode is sponsored by Todd Palmer's #1 international best-selling book, From Suck to Success. So this may be another one that resonates today. It's a guide to extraordinary entrepreneurship. Yeah. And before we start our show here, what we do is we do something which we call Two Truths and a Lie, which is always kind of fun to give you a little bit more insight into our guest on the serious side, fun side, and some things that you may not know about them. So, hey, I actually haven't even, where the heck did I put my stuff here? I didn't even introduce you yet, have I, Simon? That's what happens when my son he's the guy. He does this is for beginners. Yeah, we're back to kindergarten. Kids went to back to school this week, and so did I. So we have Simon Severino here, which is my pleasure to have on our show. This is really awesome. And so we're gonna do some Two Truths and a Lie. Hey, Simon. So you're ready? Yeah.
Yes, let's go.
You're ready. Okay. Number one. Simon was fired from his job. So here we go. That's why he is, he was fired from his job. And number two, Simon actually fired himself. Okay, well, that's really cool. Number three, Simon was born in Austria. Very nice, beautiful place, if that's true. And number three, Simon's business runs independently without him. I love that, if it's true. So I don't know if it's true or not. So now I'm going to have to guess if there is a lie. There may not even be a lie in here. Sometimes our guests do that to us. They throw us a whole.
That's so meta.
You know? So I wonder what I should. So I'm going to say that you've never actually been fired. I'm going to say you actually haven't been fired.
I have been fired.
You have been fired.
The lie is that I'm not born in Austria. I just moved here. I'm in Italia.
He's Italian. There we go. I was trying to pick at something here before the show and try and figure some things out. So you're Italian. So where in Italy are you from?
Roma.
Oh, you're Roma. Oh, I just my neighbor's daughter just got back 2 days ago from Rome. She had a beautiful time there. Like literally 2 days. She just got back. Yeah. So any other little bits?
I have been fired.
And you were fired.
Been fired by my boss, and my boss happens to be me also. I have a very mean boss. For some people, the worst boss they can get is themselves.
Yes.
You never get a break. Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't get a break. And I know because I did something similar. Like, because I never really fired myself, but I wanted to replace myself. That's what I wanted. I wanted to replace myself so many times. And I was so desperate to do it. I kept hiring or poaching. I'd poach CEOs and general managers from other companies and bring them in. But I was so nitpicky, and I would, we were basically shared this big office, and I just spin my chair around. I would listen to every phone call that they made, and it was terrible. I was just like, Nigel, you're brutal. You're absolutely. I was brutal. Terrible. Yeah. So you actually,
there is an exercise that we do a lot with our clients, which is if a CEO came in and would take over your company next week, what would they do? Where would they cut costs? What would they say is the direct way for you to scale?
Right,
What
exactly.
should you do more of? What should you stop doing? Which is a great exercise for everybody. If you have time and you are walking right now, think about it. What would a CEO do? They come in, they take over your role, your business. What would they actually immediately do?
Yeah.
And that's a great exercise.
It's really hard. It's really hard because you're the one that, founded the company. You're the one that, has evolved with it. Now you're bringing somebody else in to, it's a really hard exercise. So that's a really good one. I like that. Some other little points here, because I think a lot of people are a little bit worried about the future. We're always worried about the future. I mean, I'm 60 years old now, and if I could talk to my 20-year-old self, I'd tell my 20-year-old self, don't worry about it. Everything will work out, because it always works out. But when you're in the moment, it never seems that way, right? So, we're in the moment now of a possible, or in a pending recession.
You don't remember the recession, right? You were too young.
You don't remember. Yeah. You don't remember all these things. So what would you say to business owners now that are really worried about, what's starting to happen in our world with interest rates going through the roof, where they haven't been? I mean, when I bought my first house with my wife in 1988, interest rates were like 14%. They've been, 2-3% for years and years and years. Now they jumped to 5%, and everybody's flipping out. So what kind of wisdom would you share with some of our listeners here on, what's happening now and what to do? You mentioned something on, kind of not scale back, but just kind of anything. What would you say?
Let's all prepare for a recession.
Right.
It might be just slow growth for a year. It might be negative growth for up to 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
So let's prepare for a recession. And if it doesn't happen, then we just enjoy it. But let's be ready. So let's talk about two things. One is the revenue side, how to make the revenues a little bit more resilient, more repeatable, more reliable. And on the other side, let's talk also about how to grow money, how to keep the money that you do. So what do you do with your profits? Let's talk about investment systems.
Let's see what do you do with your profits? What would you say about that?
Yeah, well, first you need money.
Yeah,
and so the most important thing in a recession is cash flow, is liquidity.
Always cash flow. Yeah.
That trumps everything else. So the first thing to do is you need revenue systems. This is the most reliable thing in a recession.
Yeah.
And the revenue systems need to work also when you are off. And the reason is, and that's the reason why I fired myself, is if you have key people risk, if you have key process risk, then you don't have resilient enough revenue streams. And when things get tough and supply chain breaks and your value chain breaks because some of your suppliers go out of business, some of your clients can't pay you, now you better have multiple repeatable revenue systems. So the first thing to do is start with the revenue systems. And one part there is the costs. Turn all costs from fixed costs into variable costs.
Right.
So, for example, you have a PR agency that you pay per month. Don't pay per month, pay per gig. They get you in the New York Times, you pay $16K instead of I pay you $5K every month. Please get me into the New York Times.
Right. Yeah.
So, and the same thing you do with your marketing agencies, sales agencies, whatever contracts you have, make the contracts resilient. So de-risk that side. That will save you cash when you need it. First thing is the cost position. And you can do that even with your employees. You can find ways that when there is more work, you have more costs. And when there is less work, you have less costs. So that's the cost management side. Go over all those contracts.
Right.
And for example, in my team, I have zero costs if we have zero work. And I have high costs if we have a lot of work. That's exactly how I want to have it. That's resilient. So we are recession ready. And I did find contracts and I did find a business model that works for us. Now there are hundreds of business models. And that the one that works for me will not work for most of the listeners. For me, it was a certification model. It's like a franchise model.
Yes.
So basically, people pay to be on my team. So even during a recession, I would have revenues because it's a certification program. So people pay to be a certified strategy sprints coach in their time zone, in their industry, in their vertical. So it's even a revenue stream. And this is how you stack up revenue streams multiple upon each other. The method is the Sprint University, is a core offering, a one-to-one coaching, which is a high-ticket coaching, but it's also a book that also creates revenue. It's also different YouTube channels that also have a life of their own. And so this is how you stack multiple revenue streams upon each other. If one or two of them break during a hard year, you still have a resilient foundation.
Right.
That's the revenue side.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great. So and we want to stay lean. I know that it's always tempting to overhire or overspend, but it's just staying mean and lean, I think, is, like you're saying, is really key to having a successful operation. And also it allows you to stay nimble as well. If things change, you can change quickly if you're lean. But if you're a massive behemoth trying to move, it's a lot more difficult. I know because our company, we're not that big, but we're very nimble, and we do a lot of custom work. And where some of our larger European competitors, they're massive behemoths, and as technology, they can't do things and change as quickly as the nimbler companies.
And that's agility. How quickly can you react?
Can you react and change? Exactly. Yeah. If a customer needs something, hey, I need this. Could you do this for us? And we'd look at it and go, yes, we can do that, or design it. Where the competitor, which is a much larger corporation, would go, no, we don't do that. You have to buy this. This is the box. This is what we designed. You have to buy the box. We can't change that box. It'll take us 3 years to design something different. Where if you're leaner and meaner and more nimble, you can work with your clients to give them what they really truly need, right?
Yeah, those are the two most important things: resilience and agility. You just described agility. How quickly can you react to market needs,
right, and adapt
when they change? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are the main things. And these are the two principles that I describe in the book Strategy Sprints. On how to run a company in the digital age. Is exactly designing all the processes, the sales processes, the operations, and the marketing processes around resilience and agility. And I go even the nitty-gritty, my own checklists and my own blueprints, how to actually do that.
Right.
So that's on the revenue system side. And pick 3 things that you will increase by 25%, and put on hold everything else for the next year if you want to be ready for a recession. Go through all the list of everything that you're doing this week, and pick only the things that move forward these 3 main points.
Right.
Increasing by 25% the frequency of your sales means reduces your sales time. So of all the activities, does it contribute to reducing your sales time by 25%? The second is, does it increase your price by 25% for the same offer, but you can charge 25% more because it increases your positioning, or it decreases the risk of buying for your clients? Because there is a risk reversal or a guarantee or so many testimonials, etc., that it de-risks the buying decision for them.
Right.
Then you can charge 25% more for the same thing.
Right. So how do we sorry, go ahead with your 3rd point. And then
The third one is, does it increase the conversion rate by 25%? So same amount of conversations that you have per week, but you will close 25% more. Those are the 3 points. If you go through the list of your activities of this week, if you just pick the things that contribute to these 3, and just move forward over the next 12 weeks, just focus on those 3 things, on moving forward those 3 things, Well, if you accomplish just one or two, you are increasing the cash flow.
Sure.
You are decreasing the stress, and now you are ready for recession.
Right.
If you hit all the three, which is what we do in our program, because that our sprint coaches do nothing else than that 12 times a day, since years. And so we are practitioners. We do only this, increasing those three things by 25%. If you increase all the three, they compound to plus 99% revenue. Now you have doubled your revenue in 90 days, which is our 90 days program.
Right. So you're saying, in order that we talk about this word recession, right? Recession, and you've got some tips to get ready for a recession. But we're looking at, what are the three things we're going to invest in to move forward. And I read something the other day that most of the major breakthroughs in humanity have come during recessions, like tech, all these new tech things, all this stuff. I think a lot of people, a lot of companies, they withdraw, they pull back, but it's the ones that kind of step into it and see it as an opportunity, thrive, and new things are born. New things that we've never even dreamed of are born out of these recessions. So you're talking about having these three points. You're investing 25% more into these things. So how do you decide?
Well, that's the revenue part. You have now created systems to have cash flow, and you have improved revenue. So now you have more cash.
Yes.
Now, on the other side, the disruption in the market will create opportunities to invest. Now, let's say you have, I don't know, $100,000 or $1 million to invest. Now, either for your treasury, so you invest your company's money, or your private allocation. Now, it's really important that you have an investing system. And this is exactly the time to buy. So this is the time to increase your allocation, to go into the market, to go out of cash and into hard assets. And it's exactly as you're saying, the best companies, the Googles, the Amazons of this world, were born in the bubbles, in the bursting bubbles of the internet era. And we had 170 companies that were all running wild and growing exponentially, and you wouldn't know where to invest. And then everything did explode or implode.
That's right.
And in the end, you had three winners, and Google, Amazon, Apple was older, but you had Google, Amazon, and Facebook, the winners of that
they came
era.
out of the ashes.
Yes. And so the question is, how can you pick the Googles right now? What will be the Googles? So my investment system, because it's not easy to pick the winners. So you need a system that improves over time. And the goal of the system is financial freedom. So the first thing is, again, cost management, because financial freedom is just, having more than you need. That's it. And it can be very simple and very lean. So wherever you are, go intentionally over the costs. Think of your lifestyle.
Yes.
And then you create mainly three buckets. So you can create an overall portfolio. Mine, for example, is I'm 42, I have 3 kids, and I have revenue systems. So the profits, 75% of my profits every month flow into my investment systems.
Sure.
And those are 30% stocks, 30% digital assets, that's crypto, and 30% real estate.
Sure.
That's my diversification. With this, you can have some risk management. Now, if you have 3 buckets, you can lose one bucket, you're still in the green. And now the next thing is your time horizon. Are you thinking 10 years, 20 years, or just 1 year? Then you're more of a trader. Yes. I'm talking here to investors. So think 10 years. It's easier to nail 10 years than to nail 1 year. And during the recession, you will have a great value for your buck. And so there are 2 things to do: fundamental analysis and technical analysis. Fundamental analysis, I have videos on YouTube on how to do this. And fundamental analysis is basically looking at what problem are they solving, and how is their revenue growth over time, and their cash flow and profitability, and how defendable is their market position, how much competition do they have.
Mm-hmm.
So in the stocks, right now, I have always one main bet, and then a secondary bet, and then some diversification. So in the stocks, my system has right now, the main bet is on Tesla, my second bet is on Google,
Yes.
and then I have some diversification in other segments that are uncorrelated to those two, which are both tech. So I have some energy and other plays and commodities that are hopefully uncorrelated.
Yeah.
And then in the digital asset space, in the crypto space, my main bet is on Bitcoin, and then I have a secondary bet on Solana and a smaller one on Ethereum. So I think Solana might be the Google in the digital space. Bitcoin will definitely, in my thesis, will definitely be the store of value of the newer generations. So what what was gold for my generation will be Bitcoin for the millennials. They want to have their stuff on their phone. They don't want to carry
a bar of gold around. I know.
That's not their style. They want it on their phone.
Yeah, that's right.
And so
put all their cash in their pillow.
Exactly.
Right.
And so digital assets have a future. I think it's still 5 to 10 years until we will see that unfolding.
Exactly.
But for investors, if you have that time frame, if you have 10 years, and if you can wait, I am buying Bitcoin and Solana every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
That's the conversation I had with my guys. So I've got 2 boys and a girl. One's my son is 27. I got another son 25 and a daughter 22. And they started going crazy on Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these these cyber currencies or cryptocurrencies. And I'm like, okay, that's really interesting. And they're seeing everybody buying and trading. And I'm like, okay, hang on. If you want to get some, go ahead, buy. Try it out, but hold it. You got to invest.
4 years.
Invest. You're not going to sell it in a month or 2 months. Buy it. Close your eyes. And I'm like a 10-year guy, so 10-year, hold it and just it's an interesting story that you said Tesla. Tesla was one of your bets, so I bought a Tesla 10 years ago. So I was one of the first ones in Vancouver here with this Tesla, and I was in a business group, and everybody's talking about these cars. And I've always been a bit of an environmental leaning guy, and that's my business, environmental cleanup. So I buy this Tesla. Everybody thinks I'm completely crazy. I had a friend of mine that was a car critic, and he had a TV show out of Toronto, and he called me all the time and say, "Hey, how's the Tesla doing? Hard." I'm like, "It's fantastic. I've never driven anything like it. I've never driven anything with this acceleration. I've got guys, Ferraris pulling up beside me, wanting to drag race, all this crazy stuff." And I said, I love this thing. And so I had it about a year and a half. And then I called up my broker and I said, "Can I buy some of this stock on this thing? Because this is I personally love it." So I ended up buying a bunch of stock in Tesla 10 years ago.
At which price?
I can't even remember. It was nothing. Like it was
nice.
Yeah. I should actually look, because I actually ended up selling it about last October. And I
well
did.
Done. Congrats. Congrats.
I did very well on it, but the whole thing is, I believe it's something, and I had this conversation with my my stockbroker
October was around 1,200.
Yeah, probably somewhere like that. Yeah, not bad. It was pretty good. It was very good, actually. And then so I had this conversation with my stockbroker years ago, because we were buying our kids these things. They're called registered education fund. So you're buying into this thing that a company manages for you, and they take and I said, I don't want to be involved. I want to pick something that would be of interest to my kids. Like at that time, there was
something
Disney
that doesn't suck.
Yeah, something that doesn't suck. Exactly. So it was so I ended up getting, I ended up going into like Facebook and then Google and all these other things, and had the kids, just because it was something that, I felt that, there's great potential here, but we're hanging on to this for many years. And same thing with these. So yeah, geez, I can't remember what I was trying to get to here. But yeah, but it's the investing. It's not this day trading. It's not the day trading. It's not this easy selling. It's like, real estate, same thing. Buy, hold, buy, hold. My really good buddy of mine too. He bought an office building many years ago. And then I ended up buying my office building. And he said, Nigel, never sell your real estate. And I've had my office building for 25 years. It was the better investment than my business. It's done better than my business,
Yeah.
right?
There is
holding long. Mm-hmm.
There is a space also for trading. I'm not a trader.
Yeah,
so
I'm
if
not
you
a
have
trader
strong
either.
revenue systems and you have time, it's easier to invest, just buy and hold.
Yeah.
And select the strong assets. What is a strong asset versus a weak asset?
Mm-hmm.
A strong asset is limited in supply, but as long as it stays in high demand, it's just mathematically going up. For example, prime real estate in Miami Beach can only go up.
Yes.
New York, downtown New York, real estate can only go up, literally. And the same thing with San Francisco. So if it's limited in supply and it is in high demand, like Paris, then that's a strong asset. So go for that over a weak asset. A weak asset is something that you can manipulate the supply of, like the euro or the US dollar. You can just, it's not really printing, but
you print more money.
you change the number in the spreadsheet and they say, wow, we have 3 trillion more. That's a weak asset. Those things are destined to go down over time. Over 100 years, they implode. Every currency implodes over 100 years.
Yes.
So check that. The supply and demand. That's for me the beauty of Bitcoin, which is exactly the inflation schedule of the next 200 years.
Right.
And so that's one thing to look at. And then if you really understand the space, let's say you work in advertisement, well, then you might pick either Facebook or Google or Snapchat or TikTok because you understand what's going on. Exactly. So I understand only tech. So I only bet on tech. Plays.
Yeah. Because I've done the opposite. I've saw the shiny object over here that I know nothing about, but everybody's hyping it up, and I'll jump in and buy some. It's never worked out. Whereas I owned a Tesla. I really liked it. I thought it was the new upcoming technology, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy some of this. And other things, I was using, the Facebook platforms, and I was going to Starbucks for coffee. I was involved in Starbucks as well back in the day. And it was things that I tangibly knew about, but the bright shiny object that everybody's hyping up, unless you really know, I personally have never had success doing that. It's always been something that I've actually known about, like you with tech.
And that's why you need a system. So, of course, I came into Bitcoin because somebody said, hey, this is cool. Okay, but then I did start my own research. I understood nothing. And then after 100 hours, I understood maybe a little bit. And then I tried to find the right indicators. What will I watch every 7 days to know that my thesis is still correct?
Right.
So your thesis was, this is a great car and people are going to love it. Yeah. Then you have to check the adoption numbers. You have to check, okay, how is car production going? How is car delivery going? What are the numbers? How many days? I am literally watching, because I'm such a heavy investor in Tesla. I'm literally watching how many days is Shanghai factory closed, the Gigafactory. How many days is it closed? Is it 12 or 14? That makes a difference for me. And that's the detail that you then need. Right. Or to take care of. And the Berlin Gigafactory, I was checking if they will have enough energy to run it during this winter. That's what we need to check. Right, yeah, exactly. That's why a few bets, but well-researched, and then you can sleep well because, you are on top of it. Okay, they got this covered with the energy thing. I can sleep well. In 10 years, Tesla will be at 3x, at least. Yeah. because it's winning in all categories. And so you have to pick the categories and review if your thesis is still intact.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's crazy that I was the only one at any of these charge stations that Tesla would put in, and I didn't have to pay. Yeah, and I still don't have to pay. I'm grandfathered in, I guess. But now I go and there's other cars there, and they're starting to fill up, and I'm getting, oh my gosh, like, and they're everywhere. I don't know where you are, but in Vancouver here, they're like every third car is a Tesla
happening.
now. California, it's the number 2 second seller, the second highest selling car. I don't know what the number 1 selling car in California is, but I think Tesla's like number 2 already. I don't know, it's gone completely mad.
And you know what's even better than doing your 10x return on those things? Because I also went into Tesla when it was at $20 and I sold it at 1,200, and I'm now back in heavily because again, now I see the second and the third S curve just starting out.
Yes, exactly.
They're just starting.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I'm back in. And what I like is this intellectual stimulus of you have to understand the world according to your own thesis. So you have to put up your thesis. Then you have to pick the numbers and review them. So you have to pick the right numbers. And then for weeks and months and years, everybody will ridicule you. Oh, look at you, Jeff Bezos.
Every time.
This is not going to be anything. Oh, you thought you can invent books for the internet. Ha 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 ha. That's never gonna work. That's what he heard for 5 years.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, and you know it, if you were in Tesla early, everybody was like, haha, look at this. It's not a real car. I know.
It's not a real car. It's just it's a scam. It's a stock play. It's whatever. Yeah. I heard that so often. But I'm driving it and I loved it. So I'm like, I'm having fun.
And I think that's a great exercise on critical thinking. Whatever the world makes up and brings to you in a highly emotionally way every day via media, do your own research, have your own thesis. I studied philosophy, not economy, because that's so important for me. Critical thinking and the ability, when everybody is thinking A, to still have the freedom to think B, C, and D, and to do the research. So to find the truth, even when social distortion happens. And that you need that as an investor, because for years, the value of the thing and the price of the thing will be very, very far apart. And in those years, you need to stick to your thesis.
Yeah, you do.
Double check your indicators. Oh, am I still correct? Am I still right? And you will be very lonely for months, maybe for years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stay there. Stay there. Trust yourself.
Yeah. Now let's just flip back to the business owner side of things here, which actually that was a big component of it as well with investing. Is we talk about a business owner and predictable sales. You've mentioned a lot about getting predictable sales. So any little nuggets there? Any other nuggets you can share about getting some predictable sales?
Yes, one thing that I see every day when we coach people is that they don't have their reality, their truth in front of them when they take decisions. So we help them install 3 things: a daily habit, weekly habit, and monthly habit, because otherwise they just fly blind.
Yes.
And if you fly blind, if you don't know your reality, your numbers, you base your decisions on narratives. And then it's the opposite of what we just discussed. Then now you are following the herd, and what if they're not right?
Yeah.
And as in business, that actually ties to what we just discussed. In business, it's the same thing. You see something, and that's how you start a business. You see a problem and the solution, and you say, there must be a better way to do this, and so let's build it. And you will go through the same stages where it's not working, where you are low confidence, where you lose the confidence, where you feel lonely with this, and maybe I just get back to normal, and I give up this thing. And in this stage, it's really important that you have your 3 habits. Daily habit. Write down, how did you spend your time today? and then allocate your time for tomorrow. Create the flow of your day tomorrow based on two quick questions. One is, of all the tasks that I did today, which one will I delegate tomorrow?
Yes, that's very good. Yeah.
This is vital because as a business, you are the trailblazer, right? If you're the founder, you start something, you find out how to do it correctly. And then when you found it out, you have to write it down, hand it over, and move on to the next higher problem. And Elon Musk is a great example of this.
Yeah.
I admire him as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He had literally no clue how to build cars. And everybody was right. If you want to see how to build cars, you go to Germany.
Yeah.
Those guys know how to build cars.
For sure. Yeah.
And so he said, okay, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to immerse myself into this topic. And literally for 6 months, he was sleeping in the factory, literally. So he immersed himself 100% until he understood it. Then he wrote it down and did hand it over. Now he has the Gigafactory teams. They go, they build a Gigafactory, and they build the factory that will build the next factory.
Yes.
So the second thing was, okay, I have to understand AI. He immersed himself totally into AI and robotics. Now he has not just built the Gigafactory, but also the robots that will build the next Gigafactory. So my thesis, in 5 years, BMW will ask him for robots that build the manufacturing of BMW in New Delhi. So can I have your robots? I need a factory. And he goes, sure. I have this extra company, which is robots that build facilities for you guys. Sure. And they can also build you robots that then you use to build robots.
Right.
That's the third S-curve.
For sure.
And so he immersed himself into AI. And now he has an AI team that he can just parachute into other solutions. But he moves on to the next. Now he's thinking of buying Twitter. That's the next thing. And he didn't. But if he would have done, he would have parachuted in the AI team and said, hey, people, solve the bot problem and come back.
Yeah.
So they would have solved the bot problem by changing the algorithm and then coming back to the next project. The same thing you need to do on your scale, in your context. You do your thing, whatever your thing is, you find out how it works, and then you hand it over to a team that will continue doing it, and you move on to the next higher leverage task.
Right. Exactly.
That's the daily habit. Quite important. And the practical thing is you just write down your day, and we have templates for that if you want.
And I gotta say, you I think you nailed it there, is because so many people say, how does Elon Musk, have Tesla, SpaceX, and all these companies, and how does he run them all? And it's exactly that. It's the same thing for like a Richard Branson, and all of these guys. They're not in there running each one of the businesses every day. They've, like you said, they've learned so much about that subject, and now they've been able to basically move out and have other people run it all for them, right? Yeah.
Totally. We have experts. 3 kids under 6 here. We have to do the same thing for everyday's logistics. I come up with the recipes, then I write them down, and then I ask for help. Hey, can you come twice a week? I have 3 kids under 6. Can you come twice a week? You cook that thing. I put it into the refrigerator. It's the same logic. Same logic how you organize things.
I know. No, I'm just reflecting. We got 3 kids too. They're all older now, but I know
they're older.
They're older now. So now I got a little bit more freedom. A little bit more. But the same thing. I mean, it took me years and years and years and years, and I wish I had learned a lot of this that you're talking about when I was a lot younger, when I was 30, when I was 40. It really only started getting my stride in my 50s. And number one is I was in such trouble, personally, business, everything. I was a coach was forced upon me, and I hired this coach, and I had him for about 15 years, and it was the best thing. All the money that I've spent, people go, oh, coaches are expensive. Okay, if you look at it that way, okay, they can be expensive. You're paying them month to month. But if you look at the whole overall picture, it's a bargain. It's a bargain. I'm telling you, it's a bargain. And it was the best thing that I ever did. And this coach helped me. What we did is we set up, I think we drew an asteroid belt, right? And I had to get through this asteroid belt, and all these pieces were floating around and everything was moving, and I had to label them all. And what we did is we broke away each one of those little bit by bit until I had a clear path through. And once I think I mentioned to you earlier, I wanted so badly to get out of my business, and quite a few times. There was one time my coach said, if somebody walked up to you and offered you something for your business, what would you sell it for? And I said, $1. And he says, "What, are you kidding me?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just done." And luckily he convinced me not to do that. But it was the process of working through this. And he, allowed me and worked with me to help set my business up to run without me. Just like you said, having these, I was the founder. I was born and raised in this industry. I was flying all over the world, and I was learning, and I was, responding to oil spills and all this stuff. That's my business. But then eventually I was able to, after I parachuted all these guys in to take over the business, which didn't work, I didn't see it that organically I was growing people from inside the business. And there was one guy in particular that was the perfect age, the perfect experience to take over everything. And then I was able to step out, and I was able to have the business run without me. I think that you've been able to do that as well. Have your pretty much run without you. And then I'm able to do all these other really cool things that I've always dreamed of. But it's exactly like you said. It's, if we're in it and we're this close to it, year after year, the years go by really quickly, don't they? They go by so quickly, and you're always in the fire. You're always putting out fires. I used to call it the doorknob effect, because I'd go to my office every day and I'd touch the doorknob, it'd be vibrating, because as soon as I stepped through, it was complete chaos. So it's exactly right. Sorry, I get really excited about this, because it was transformational for me. And the number one thing was getting help, because us founders and CEOs or whatever we are, we have these egos, which are ridiculous. We have these egos, and we just don't want to ask for help. We need to ask for help. Everybody in life needs help. We can't do it on our own. And from coaching and whatnot, it's basically saved my life.
Especially if you are building something that's bigger than you, and that's not there yet. Like, we are coaching right now people who are building the Hollywood on the blockchain. So we're a creator that creates something, and then 3 years later people sell the movie to Disney, and then 5 years later Disney sells it to somebody else.
Yes,
you wouldn't even notice that they sold your work, but with a smart contract based on an immutable data on the blockchain, the smart contract knows, and you get your 5% automatically. So
using Ethereum or
people,
something for that, or
you can use different blockchains as the basis, as long as it's immutable.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And so when you are building something that is not there yet, and that's the definition of entrepreneurship, you're building something new.
Yeah.
I always say entrepreneurs, they build something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And I think it's correct. I see Shiva dancing with all these arms and destroying stuff on the way, and being blissful. That's an entrepreneur. It's a force of nature. And it feels, and this is when you look at it from the outside, wow, what a creature, right? What a force of nature. When you live inside there, the dark side, some nights where you feel completely lonely and completely overwhelmed.
Yes.
And sometimes where you want to yell at people. And all these things are also part of the journey. So that's why a coach is very important, both on the methodical side, we call it the tactical, and the adaptive side. So that the tactical side is really technically, look, this is how you build a sales process. The setters do this, the closers do this, the CRM does this. Boom, this is the technical side. Very important.
Yes.
And then you have the adaptive side. That's what you described. Ooh, I am growing out of my comfort. It doesn't feel right anymore. I am out of my house here.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I'm naked. And then your coach says, yeah, you are growing. And so you are on the journey.
That's right.
Just stay there, stay with me.
Have faith, stay with me. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Give me your hand. Let's walk one step after the other.
Yeah.
It's
it is interesting because you have your, you work through your tasks, you decide what you've got to accomplish. Right. And my coach used to hold me accountable, and it would be like, okay, every month, did you do this? You have like 2 or 3 things that you absolutely had to do. And it meant absolutely as in, here's the car keys. If I don't do them, you get my car. Like, that's how serious it's gotta be, it has to be. You really have to take it that seriously in order to, to get into that flow. Once you get to a certain point, and you get, you start banging these things off, it becomes quicker and quicker and quicker, and you get into the flow, you get into the rhythm, and then things just go poof, they take off. But it's at the beginning, there's a lot of that resistance, and you really need somebody to just, keep kind of giving you confidence and pushing you along. Yeah.
Totally. And so that's the daily habit.
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
Then there's the weekly habit. The weekly habit is we set up for you a dashboard where you see one marketing number, one sales number, one operations number every week. So you pick the most important one from a white list that the sprint coach gives you. And then you say, all right, this is my marketing number of new subscribers per week, or number of people who download something from the website per week. Then you pick a sales number. Might be just dollar sold, or if you have a subscription business, something around churn rate or upsells or cross sells per week. And then on the operations side, you pick a number. Might be satisfaction per client, or number of client referrals, clients that referred to you this week. And then with those 3 numbers, every 7 days, every Friday, the sprint coach and will look at the dashboard with you, and you will have somebody from your team responsible for, one person will be responsible for operations, one person will be responsible for marketing, and one for sales. And if you are a solopreneur, you have 3 hats on, and you will feel that it's overwhelming and will start hiring. And so usually solopreneurs who sprint with us, they start hiring because they see the overwhelm, and they see that they are running basically 3 departments, and start organizing better. And so that dashboard tells them every 7 days, okay, of all the activities that we're doing, this is what's working, this is what's not working. And you need this feedback loop. You just described very well what happens when you get into momentum, when you get the feedback, oh, this is working, I did 3 tasks this week, 4 tasks I want to do next week.
Exactly.
That's the momentum.
Exactly.
And we say, keep rolling. So you want to have this momentum because it's easier for the stone to roll when it's rolling.
Once it's already moving. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Then if it's not moving, to start moving it. That's why it's a weekly cadence. And it's like Angry Birds. You shoot the bird 500 points. You shoot the bird 600 points. Yeah. What do you want to do next? All right, let's go for 800.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It's so true.
That's why weekly cadence, because it has to be an immediate loop, a direct loop.
Yes.
And for the team to feel that what they're doing is impactful. And then there is a monthly habit, which is a strategic analysis, half an hour. With our tools, you can do it in half an hour. It's a quick analysis. What else can the client do on their own? Who else can they hire from our competitors to do this? And then you go through the main features that you have. Where are you winning? Where are you losing against your competitors? The 2 where you are losing, you cut costs there. Let's say you cut 20% of your monthly costs there. You reinvest them. We are investing again. You reinvest them immediately into the next month's budget. So for example, you have a feature which is we only have senior consultants, and that's where you're winning against your competitors. And then you have a feature where you're losing, for example, your monthly industry report. You suck at that. Nobody reads it. Your competitors do it much better. Okay. Now, instead of improving something to mediocre, our method says, cut it.
Sure.
You cut it 100%, leave it to your competitors. They are best at it. They should enjoy it. You cut 20% of time and money that you put on that, and you reinvest those 20% on the two things where you are currently already winning.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're currently winning on that,
Mm-hmm.
it's de-risked. And now you put in 20% more attention and cash into it. You will crush it. And that will again increase your momentum, give motivation. And when you have a highly motivated team, they will find solutions for everything that people throw at them.
Yeah. This is awesome. This is fantastic. Well, I mean, thanks, Simon, for sharing all this amazing wisdom and knowledge. We're not going to let it all out of the bag here. So if anybody wants any more, highly recommend Simon's book, Strategy Sprints. Anything that you want to just say as we wrap up here, Simon? Any little tips or because go ahead.
The book is a very practical, very helpful. Literally, I have it on my desk and I use it as a checklist. Oh, wait a moment, my marketing is not working. Let me go to chapter 3, marketing. Which step did I miss? And I literally use it as my own checklists.
Yeah.
And then those 3 tools that we were talking about, the weekly, the daily, and the monthly, people can download them. They are for free. People can download them at strategysprints.com.
Perfect.
And they're open source and they can directly implement them.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to put all of that in the links on the episode so people can grab your book and they can look at all the links and dive deeper into all this great knowledge that you have here to share. So this is fantastic. Thanks so much, Simon. Really, really, really appreciate you being on Impact today. And you are making a huge impact because you made a huge impact to me today, and really appreciate it. Nice sharing some stories here. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Keep rolling, everybody.
Keep rolling.